this past Monday, President Bola Tinubu unveiled the Planning Committee of the National Youth Conference in Abuja, a committee which is to be chaired by Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Youth Development, Olubunmi Olusanya. Monday's inauguration comes 5 months after Tinubu, in his last Independence Day broadcast, announced plans for a 30-day National Youth Confab to address critical issues facing the country's young people. Now, the president tasked young people to seize the opportunity to redefine the fortunes of millions of their counterparts across the nation. We're now being joined by Atiku Isah, the president of the National Association of Nigerian Students, to have a look at how this plan can help in shaping the future of young people within Nigeria. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us here on Newsday.
Thank you very much for having me.
Concerning this event, could you give us an overview of the key objectives and the themes of this year's National Youth Conference?
Well, I do not want to go into the objectives because several committees like that have been inaugurated in the past, and the outcome of such committees are never implemented. So in my own view, and that is the view of the National Association of Nigerian Students, which I am the national president, is that it's another avenue of government wasting resources of the people just to make some few individuals become rich, because at the end of the day, what are those things to be achieved? We already know the problem. Committees have been inaugurated in the past. The outcome of the committees are there. Why not go ahead and implement? Why inaugurating another committee? I think, in my opinion, and as the leader with over 20 million people in my constituency, it is a misstep by the federal government, and we want the federal government to retrace its step and do the needful by implementing the outcome of the committees that were formed in the past by previous administrations. That is our stand, and that's the position of the National Association of Nigerian Students.
Well, in the event that the federal government does not change its mind and goes ahead with the youth confab, what measures do you think can be put in place, or what mechanism can be put in place to ensure the implementation of the conference outcomes? And also, how do you expect the government to measure the success and impact of recommendations that will be made at the conference?
Yes, what the government needs to do is just to have the political will. The political will is what is lacking, and that is why we are where we are today. We already know the problems, and we know the solutions to this problem. What is expected of the government of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu is to implement. Is the implementation of the outcomes that matters. It's not just the committee. Like I said in my opening remarks, it is an avenue for few individuals, especially in the Ministry of Youth, either commission or whatever name it is given, for them to make money for themselves, and they are misleading the federal government. I want to say very emphatically that those in the commission are misleading the federal government. They know this is not what we need at the moment. But however, just like you said, if they insist on going ahead, then we might decide to participate because of the number of students which we lead, and at the end of the day, we will ensure that whatever the outcome is, it must be implemented, or else we go on the street to protest the wastage of Nigeria's resources.
Fair enough. What are some of the biggest challenges, in your opinion, to the actual implementation of these recommendations? Why are they not acted upon?
They are usually not acted upon based on political considerations, especially at the end of this process. You realize that it might be close to when primary elections will begin to commence, and in that doing, some persons will advise the government in power that if you do A, B, or C, you might lose certain states, you lose votes. That is usually the consideration, and which is very bad, which has not given Nigeria, has not placed us where we are supposed to be as of today. We are still lagging behind. Is it a dysfunctional educational system? Everything we are lagging behind because consider political interest instead of the interest of the nation.
Now, I'm wondering if you're concerned that the conference delegate selection process might not ensure adequate representation of diverse youth groups, and what advice would you give to the government regarding the selection of delegates to attend the conference?
Well, the selection was done before our election, so that's why we do not have much to say. Even at that, if you look at the age bracket of those in the committee, you not talk about issues of the youths, where you have people who have outspent their entire life on earth to be members of the committee, which will decide what the youths want or what they should do or what they should not do. So it is, even from the committee, the membership of the committee, it is flawed, and it shows that nothing very common of that. However, there are and people who have over the years proven themselves to be very patriotic and nationalistic. Among them, I saw the name Dr. Linus Okorie, who has been very passionate about this country. That is one person I have confidence in. But the chairman of the committee, being the permanent secretary of is it the Commission for Ministry for Youth? These are the same people who have put us in the problem that we are today. So there's nothing that can really come out from that except that few persons, which I know that if things are going on in the wrong way, he might resign. In him. Aside that, the others we do not really have confidence.
And what message do you have for young Nigerians who've listened to this program and listened to the lack of implementation of the previous conferences and are a little bit skittish or apprehensive about participating in the conference? What would you say to them?
Well, I want to say that let's us believe that President Ahmed Bola Tinubu will not toe the path of his predecessors, and that he will do the needful, because he has been a friend of the youths, and he has been he was a Democrat in the past, and we want him to prove himself now that is the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So with that, we want to call on all youths to give him the benefit of doubt, give the government of President Tinubu the benefit of doubt, and then participate and see what will happen. Is it going to be the same as usual, that outcome of such committee are usually not implemented, or he would do a different thing? So let's just give him the benefit of doubt and then participate in it. I hope that the committee will write me officially as the national president of NANS, and then we will look at it at the executive and go into the Congress and then take a position on that.
Well, as we await the outcome of the confab, what other measures do you think can be taken by the government to better support Nigerian youth, especially in these difficult economic times?
Yes. Well, in that aspect, sometimes what I say is that the government is usually not monitoring. I give a specific example. The government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu released about 20 CNG buses for students through the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Students and Youth, Comrade Sunday Ashefon. But in the course of my campaigns to become the National President of NAMS, I went around the campuses, but those buses were not found anywhere. And so usually, government will approve certain things or give out certain things, but it never gets, it doesn't get to the people who are supposed to be the beneficiary. So I am also calling on the President and the President to ensure that, yes, in the case of these buses and other things, let there be monitoring so that people can benefit. Just like in the field of agric, you see fertilizer being given, which is supposedly to be given to farmers. At the end of the day, traders will get this fertilizer and go and sell it at exorbitant prices. And that is the major problem that we are facing. If you can see, that's why that things can never go on well if there's no serious monitoring, and then those who do the wrong thing to be punished.
You're right. Very well said. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Atiku Isah, the president of the National Association of Nigerian Students. Thank you.